Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long boys blues, 1975. YouTubers on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long boys blues, 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975, and welcome to a video. Threefold. I'm just checking out the corner of my eye. I'm holding up nothing. Threefold. This video is about a massive hit of nostalgia for me. It really, really is. It's about toys, and more importantly, it's about Star Wars. Good Star Wars. Lucas Star Wars. Before Kathleen Kennedy, Jar Jar Abrams and Rian Johnson done fucked it up, Star Wars. This is about basically the re-release, I should say, a new line of inspired retro figures from the first line of original figures released by Kenner way back in 1978. Before we get to the meat and veg of this video, two stipulations. One, if you want to see me open said figures, then you really haven't seen me do a toy video before or understand my OCD. It's not going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen. And like most people, I think I've bought these as display pieces because they look so good, but we'll get to that. And two, this is my lounge. I like clocks. Apparently the ambient background noise of a clock is a first world problem. So you've been warned. If you don't like clocks, then maybe not the video for you. Anyway, let's get into it. That was an interesting start, wasn't it? So basically, you all know the story of one of the most popular and influential action figure and vehicle lines of the late 70s to early 80s, before kind of waning in the mid 80s, and that would be Kenner's Star Wars, which I believe in the United Kingdom were produced under license by Palitoy, because that was a kind of thing, wasn't it? You would buy the rights and produce under license. So anyway, the story goes, and I'm not an expert on this, I just want to talk nostalgia about what these figures mean to me. But the story goes, in 1977, George Lucas, well, he lost the rights to the movies for a specific time, retained the right to all merchandising, because apparently movie figure toys and stuff like that weren't, considered a big thing. Man, was he smart on that. And also, no one thought that Star Wars was going to be the success it was. So it was released in the States in 1977, and only one company bought the rights, or took the chance. No one else was interested, because, you know, action figures and stuff like that based on movies weren't really a big deal at that point. Yeah, only one company took a chance on this, and that was Kenner. And then the movie came out, and it was absolutely huge. And it was going to be a case of there was no way they were going to be able to make figures for Christmas 77. So what they did was the infamous early bird box, where they sold a gift certificate inside a box. It all makes sense while I'm talking about this. Inside a box for early adopters. So if they bought this, you know, gift certificate, sent it to Kenner, but kept the box because the box became a display piece, they would get a run of figures in early, maybe February 1978. The irony being, if you didn't send in the certificate and therefore, you know, had no return on your Christmas present, you'd be loaded now, because you could sell it for a fortune. You just would have had a crap Christmas present. Anyway, so the first run of figures outside of the early bird came out, and I believe, I could be wrong, I believe they are the figures I'm going to show you now. Now, the reason I mentioned the early bird box set is a bunch of people said, wow, Kenner missed a chance on these figures. So Hasbro, because they are made by Hasbro. In the design, you know, well, they packaged them as if they were Kenner because Kenner made the original figures, but they're made by Hasbro because Hasbro has the Star Wars rights now, or whatever. But yeah, they should have done the early bird box, and it's like, well, what would you have got? Because the figures that you got when you sent in that certificate in February was sent to you in plastic trays. There were a number of figures, and then there was a pack or something like that. Look it up, it's on YouTube, of weapons, and then you had the display case. You had the display case or display stand to put the figures on that came in the original early bird box set, or gift set, I should say. So if they did that, what exactly, you know, are you going to get? Because these come on bubble cards or blister cards. I should say. And yeah, so I'm kind of waffling, but you know, I have so much nostalgia for the first range of Star Wars figures. 1978, I was 3. I'm wondering if the movie had been on TV at that point, or was about to be on TV, or my old man had got it, you know, a hockey pirate video or something like that. But we absolutely loved and adored Star Wars figures, and got Star Wars figures for our Christmases and our birthdays, which must have been very expensive for my parents, because there were 3 of us, and 2 of us shared the same birthday, and 3 of us shared Christmas Day. But you know, I'll link a video down below called Vintage Adventures in the Attic, the first one, where I show you some of the Star Wars stuff I still have. Some of it's still boxed, but love Star Wars. I mean, I had the Rebel Transporter, I had a Scout Walker, I had Jabba's Palace, I had a Snow Speeder, which I absolutely adored. I can't think. I had loads of those little mini vehicles that weren't actually anything from the movies, they just kind of made up. And I had a ton of figures, which I've still got, but they're in storage, and I couldn't be asked to get them out to compare to these figures, because ultimately I'm not going to open these packs anyway. But I did not know this was a thing. There is one thing I would say that Hasbro missed a trick on, which is, why didn't you release this range of, you know, Wave 1 retro, Phase 1 retro figures or whatever in 2018, which would have been the anniversary, you know, of 1978. You see, nice round number. But what do I know? So anyway, what they've done is there are 1, 2, I've got to count 3, 4, 5, 6 figures. Now, if these are the original range of figures, you might have to check that out. I was too young to remember. But, you know, and I mean the ones that obviously came out after the early bird, you know, gift certificate set, which some of these would have been reprisals of, and therefore put on cards for the first time. But I cannot tell you, I did not know this was a thing. I was in a supermarket the other day, and they only had 2, and I bought 2 of them, purely because of the box art. I absolutely loved it. I am going to talk about the figures, even though I'm not going to open them. Absolutely loved it. It was just a complete and utter blast right back to being Ickle Dave, and just remembering these amazing, you know, pictures. They just sold it. The movie pictures on these you know, boxes just sold the figures, even without you having seen the movie to some degree, I would say. Anyway, so I finally got the entire set, and I'm not going to open them like most people, because we were talking about on Facebook the other day how to get rid of a sticker on them, which is one fault I would like to point out, and there are a couple of other faults as far as I can go without opening them, although I have looked up a few videos on people who did the wrong thing and opened them, because ultimately I want to put these in some form of glass frame and have them displayed on the wall, not put on my figure shelf or in a cabinet. But anyway, let's get into it. So these are, you know, I would say exact almost-ish, you know, repackaged. Well, this is the thing. They are the original figures. I'll shut up. Let's just have a look at Han Solo, right? He's the original figure. Yeah, he's got the original, big head figure. There was 2, wasn't there? There was a small head figure. I like the big head figure. And exactly as I remember, especially the name here, which you used to cut these out, didn't you, as proof of purchase, and send into, you know, well, in our case, I guess, Palitoy for your mail in the mail figures that didn't come on cards. But it's brilliant. It looks absolutely fantastic. The figure itself is... Now, here's the thing. They did not use the original molds. They kind of reverse engineered it, because it's not identical. Is that going to focus? If you break it out to your original ones. The features on these are a little bit softer, because what they actually did was take the original figures and then make molds off them, and then use those molds to make these figures. So it's kind of like a second generation, if that makes sense. But I don't care, because it pretty much looks absolutely bang on. It's just got slightly fainter features, and some of these figures the paint is wrong, but he's so accurate he won't even hold his gun properly. But the big problem here is twice, I was going to say thrice, is they've given it this weathered effect around here. Now, I think the idea was being, someone said, so you wouldn't think that it would mistake them for the originals, which is probably the reason they've also stuck this on here, which Gashead Steve said is an absolute, you know, he started taking it off and then he put it straight back down because he saw that some of the paint was going. And I put it on Facebook and people are giving me a whole bunch of ways to remove it. So I might actually just buy another figure and open it, you know, and display it on my shelf, but use it as an exercise to see how to remove this based on what people said. Unless you know for a fact, because you own these figures, let me know in the comment section down below. So yeah, this weathering so you can mistake it for another figure. How would you do that? Original figure. Wrong back, lose points for that. I mean, they're not going to produce the original back and stuff like that. I kind of understand that. But also, I kind of would have liked it. But yeah, it just, explains on here. But yeah, so how are you supposed to mistake this for an original figure when, wrong back, and obviously, well, it's available now, and it's not a Black Series figure. It's not one of those god awful goofy kids looking Disney figures. So I don't know. I don't understand the mind or mentality behind that. But yeah, sticker fail there, and I do not like this. I mean, the sticker probably can be removed, but this. It doesn't make it shit or anything. You even put it on the back when no one gives a fuck about the back. But it's an exercise in, no, you were so close to perfection. You're like 2 points off perfection. Don't like that. The other thing that's a problem is with these, can you see that? It's very, very flimsy card. Now, granted, it's 40 odd years ago, but I remember that the card they mounted these on back in the day, you could put them on as a stab vest. But yeah, a couple of fails for that. But points for the figures, absolutely fantastic. I think it's amazing. And as I said, I remember these pictures so much. Me and my brothers used to cut these out and put them in a scrapbook and keep them. If we had a brain, we would have kept the entire card. But then to be fair, we would have cut this out because what was it? I got Dengar, I got the Emperor, and I can't remember. There was one more mail-in figure in this country because our mail-in figures were different to what they were in North America and I guess Europe and Australasia and stuff like that. But yeah, when I saw these, because the first one I saw was him and Luke, I was all over them, but they didn't have the rest. Now that just, not just because of the scene. See, obviously the iconic scene from the movie, but I look at these and I really do flash back to being Ickle Dave and can see so much, just so much like it was yesterday. And pulling this out of a stocking at Christmas, in which case, because I got most of these early ones at Christmas, which I guess would have been 1978, 1979, in which case my mum would roll them up like that, put an elastic band on and stick them into a Christmas stocking, in which case you're all probably just going, as an adult modern, or an adult retro toy collector, I guess. But we were kids, we didn't give a shit. But again, sticker, same back, same problem, but here's where it's really, 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 really cool. Wrong colour. These, I believe. I still have my original Luke. Again, I couldn't be asked to get them out for this. Slightly wrong colour, but it's got the telescopic lightsaber. I'm looking into my viewfinder. Telescopic lightsaber. It's so accurately produced. It's even got the little extension bit that, as a kid, I don't know why I used to chew off. I mean, they all got bent and warped and fell off eventually, but I used to bite them off and chew them off. But, I mean, it was kind of interesting at the time, but in the second, when the Empire Strikes Back figures, they just gave them a stick-in-your-hand lightsaber, but ultimately the problem with that was half these figures never held the weapons or the lightsabers or the peripherals properly anyway. But this is a really iconic one. Again, you can probably see the fainter features, but and the mouldings, like I said, slightly fainter, but it is a reversed engineered original molded process, I guess. But the other thing they've done, which I've seen on videos, to stop you thinking, particularly if it's not on a card, that it's an original figure, is it says Hasbro on, I'm doing this, but I'm meant to say on the back of his leg, Hasbro on the back of his leg and not Kenner. And it doesn't give a date when the original ones had the date of 1978. But I mean, who's going to think when it looks this nice that it's an original figure? And also, because it's not going to be sun fade or anything like that. I mean, they even get like frosting and stuff when they're kept in the boxes for like 40 odd years. But I don't know. I think that's a bit odd. I mean, I think it's a bit odd when they put a date on the leg for now. But things they do, I guess, to stop people thinking that they're being ripped off. Tad overkill, I feel. I'd love to know what you think. I'm probably wrong on all of this. This is just a couple of videos I've watched, but these are just two absolutely iconic and amazing figures. Now, I have a massive amount of nostalgia for two more of these, but don't for the other two, but had to buy the other two for the complete set because I didn't have them, but my brother had them. Also, by the way, see, it says Kenner. It's not Kenner, it's Hasbro. See, it says Hasbro. But now I had Vader. He's definitely a figure I got at Christmas that my mum rolled up and put an elastic band around and shoved in my stocking. And I was so stupid and young, I called him Dark Vader because apparently I didn't know what or could pronounce the word Darth. But he's got that they've reproduced the vinyl perfectly because I wanted to say was I think Hasbro had a stab at doing a retro range of figures. I want to say, I mean, I saw a Mad Wobber's channel years ago, and he said about how disappointing it was, but it's almost like they made someone make the figures of how they thought they looked when they were a kid entirely from their mind. So you could look at them, it's almost like that, bit in Wayne's World 2 when they look at Wayne's studio, a set, which is, hey, that's Wayne's basement, only that's not Wayne's basement. he made it from memory, and so you looked and thought they were kind of cool and they were awful. No, these are exactly the same, but it's got the vinyl, and obviously they just stuck the arms out through the side. And the second range of figures, or later on, I would say more so the Empire Strikes Back range of figures, they actually started using cloth, definitely in Jedi. But I don't even know if it's got it. But when I was a kid, I know when I opened up my Vader and I had a TIE fighter. That's right, that Darth Advanced TIE had such a specific smell, like really strong but nice plastic smell. Getting kids into solvent abuse back in the day. Thanks, Kenner. But now there were a number of different, cards, weren't there? Because as they went forward and they changed Star Wars into Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that, I do remember. Maybe mine was an Empire Vader, having a red lightsaber and stuff like that. And some of them, such as Boba Fett, actually were just drawn, weren't they? But there's so much nostalgia for that. Again, look at that. So nice. I mean, as I said, maybe they kind of backward engineered the way they've done making the molds, but make no mistake about it, they look really nice. And I'm not doing it justice. When I say it's kind of fainter features, it's really not that much of a difference. But, and then you got your Stormtrooper with the molded head that will not move. And I guess, and I definitely had this one, the Stormtrooper shooting when he's going across the bridge and stuff like that. But this one to me, people are probably going to use as an army builder, aren't they? Because all these figures were £9 and change, which you could argue is it expensive for what it is? No, because look at the price of Black Series figures; they're fucking ridiculous. And even the crap, really goofy looking kids ones by Disney are pretty much a tenner. But yeah, these can be like army builders and stuff like that. But that's brilliant. And look, he's holding his gun. He won't be once you opened it, but yeah, like I said, this isn't like a review video or anything like that. I just want to talk a little bit of Star Wars, but the nostalgia I have for seeing these iconic pictures, because these were, and I'm pretty sure loads of other kids did, scrapbooks and stuff like that, but these just blow my mind. Like I said, your mind is a wonderful thing when you see such strong images like that. A time machine, basically. I never had Princess Leia, never wanted Princess Leia, couldn't care about Princess Leia, liked her in the movie. My brother Jason did, but that probably because he had Han Solo and the next figure, final figure. I'll tell you, Chewbacca, you know what the set is. And he had the Millennium Falcon. He's still got his Millennium Falcon. It's in pretty good nick, and it's huge. But yeah, so I guess he figured that it was the trio that you had. But the base at the end, that image is just absolutely iconic. And again, it's got this brilliant. It's pretty much, from what I can tell, it certainly looks it. The vinyl they used first time around. Again, she's, oh my God, first world problems, clock. Sorry. She's holding her gut blaster, but it won't be when you open it. I always remember about her as well, was because it's got all the points of articulation, all 5 points of articulation, however limited that they are exactly the same. These are, like I said, softer features or sculpts or not, these are exact replicas. Yeah, I always remember that she's like Obi-Wan. I don't know when Obi-Wan's figure was. She's got proper flares, man. I always thought that as a kid. Got proper bell-bottom flares, but again, I really would have liked a reproduction. Put all your modern copyright and rubbish down here for sure, but an original reproduction of the back of the cards, because these are movie pictures, not pictures of the figures, where you used to get, do you remember as you went further and further on, you used to have all the figures listed in rows like that. Obviously by the time you got to Jedi and there were loads, and then they used to black them out for some reason. They used to black out some of the Ewoks, and then and like it was some sort of mystery, or they hadn't finalised production. I don't know, but that's nostalgia in itself as well. The fact that it's like, you used to think if you stared really hard at the blacked out figure on the back, you could work out what it was. Because I was a kid and I was stupid. But the final one of these is Chewbacca. I never had him, but my brother had him, and he's a brilliant, brilliant, solid figure. I think he's got a different paint on the eyes, but, again, first world problems. But these are really, really, really well-produced figures. They're certainly affordable. The packaging is identical, apart from need to get this off. This is just, why would you do such a thing? This is a proper drop the ball right there, Hasbro. It's like, it's retro in case you didn't know. Of course I know. I'm 40 something. These are the figures I grew up with. I know what your current figures you're selling, because A, no one's buying them. They're sitting on the shelves, and B, they're shit and their packaging is shit. So you didn't need to tell me this. Although I guess someone in marketing just went, them kids, they like retro. Make sure you put retro on the front. It'll sell it. And again, I said this kind of fake damage damaged stuff. I really didn't need this. I mean, don't get me wrong, get rid of this, they'll look fantastic. They just didn't do this. Because I don't buy it that's to stop people thinking it's the, it might be an original one. I guess displayed in a comic store or something like that. Because, guess again, the back's not. This is just what I've read and what I've heard. But they're so close to perfection. They are brilliant. Don't get me wrong. They are absolutely brilliant. And I love them. Particularly since I did not know they were a thing. Can I hold them all up at once? Yeah, I did not know they were a thing. So what a pleasant surprise. I mean, affordable, yes, but what we got? This is 65 quid's worth of toys here. When you say it like that, ooh. But also, Gasset Steve said to me, which I didn't realise, but it makes perfect sense, that this is phase one. These are the figures that they've produced to honour their first run. As I said, I think this is the first run of figures that aren't the early bird box set that they released in '78. And the next one is going to be Empire. Then hopefully we'll get Jedi, and then we don't need anything after that, because after that, what was it, Power of the Force? The only good figure to come out of Power of the Force was the Luke Skywalker in Stormtrooper disguise, which I still have, and still have his helmet. So yeah, I didn't know these are a thing until I stumbled across them. They only got 2, then got the rest the other day, and now I guess if I stick them in a frame, this warping here, because that's something else, this super flimsy, weak card that's warped off the shelf, may I add. And also, I don't think, shouldn't this be central? It's not central on any of them, but my memory, been a while, fuzzy memory of nostalgia says it was central, because, and also sometimes, technically, it's not going to last on a shelf, but shouldn't that be unpunched? I don't know. I sincerely doubt I had any unpunched ones when I would land back in the day, because I was a roughhouser with my toys and didn't keep any of the boxes. But yeah, very, very pleasantly surprised with these, bonuses, they look incredibly like the original figures. Like I said, softer features is such, very minor because of the way they made the molds. Some colour differences, not drastically that different, but I don't know, maybe that's because of how you paint or make figures these days. But it does lose points for that, which is it is reversible, I guess, technically. By all means, everyone let me know. But really this, and I guess I can't complain that it doesn't have the original back, because that really doesn't matter, because it's going to be a display item. But yeah, roll on with Empire, and definitely roll on with Jedi, Hasbro, and maybe you could have done a UK variant where they were Palitoy. Well, not Palitoy, was it Parker? I knew it was P something, you know what I mean. But yeah, just stuff like this is my bread and butter, and when it's, stuff you have such strong nostalgia for, and everyone has strong nostalgia for Star Wars, of our age group, my age group, the group I think watches these videos. This is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful line of action figures, and that they've got it right compared to I don't even know the last one I talk about seeing on Mad Wobbers channel was a thing in this country, but fantastic. Gonna get myself a frame, a big ass frame, with obviously custom made, so the gap between the back of the frame and the glass is that. Not sure how I'm going to straighten these, possibly kitchen towels to soften and disperse weight, and then put a bunch of paperweights on it. But yeah, just a little bit of a stupid video, not an unboxing or anything like that. Not the best way to film it, but you know me, budget central. I had to talk about these retro collection, that's all it is, retro collection in 3 different languages. So I don't know what they were originally referred to, which is Star Wars retro collection phase 1 or something like that. By all means let me know, but they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant, mainly because of the packaging. If you just got an exact replica of the figure without this packaging, then they wouldn't be half as good, and I probably wouldn't have even bought them. Anyway, if you have these, if you know anything about them, because probably everything I said is probably just rubbish, I would love to know what you think. And also, Star Wars, share some Star Wars memories, share some Christmas and birthday Star Wars memories with me of these toys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.